We're talking more about life than we are money, but we always do around here. Dr. John Deloney, we call him Dr. D, Ramsey Personality Newly Minted, joins us. And I probably for the next year of your life will continue to introduce you and say you're a PhD in counseling so that people know who you are and you're able to answer their questions about stress, about anxiety, about fear, about boundaries, about people that are being unkind because they're afraid, about encouraging kindness and generosity instead of spreading fear. It's valid to have concerns over the economy right now. It is valid to have concerns over the coronavirus, especially if you are in one of the at-risk categories. But the overreaction to both will bring overcorrection, oversteering when you think that, I almost changed lanes into another car the other day and I almost oversteered.
Hit the guy on the other
coming
lane.
back and almost went into the wall.
There you go.
And more people wreck from their reaction than they do just going ahead and wrecking. And so the overreaction to either can get you in trouble. Panic, no one makes good decisions when they're panicked or drunk, Dr. Art Laffer says. So here's an interesting one for you, John. You're going to get to do a lot of talk radio in the next several years and a lot of situations where you're going to have a lot of opinions. So I've been doing this for 30 years, and there have been some people out there in the marketplace that I have so disagreed with. And disagree with everything, but occasionally I find myself aligned with them anyway, and it's uncomfortable. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and
it's the sign of a wise man.
Well, a long time ago, back when she was a Harvard law professor, Elizabeth Warren, and I were on the same side, and Chuck Schumer and I were on the same side of a bankruptcy argument because the Republicans were putting a bankruptcy law through that went through that was all about protecting the banks and not the little man, and it added teeth to bankruptcy that was unnecessary. I'm not for bankruptcy, but so I found myself aligned with these guys because they were right, and I had to admit
My feet are getting cold.
Even though our
my feet are freezing,
even though our politics were and the rest of our lives are not aligned in any other way.
Sure.
But I had to respect the argument and the principle of the argument.
For you.
And one of those guys is a guy named Peter Schiff. And Peter and I have been notoriously at opposite ends of things because I am just not a glass half empty guy. I'm not a scarcity guy. I am not going to be, during my lifetime, you can mark it down, I will not be predicting the end of the world.
There you go.
I'm going to resist that.
Good for you.
A lot of financial people do it. A lot of economists do it. There's something about a dark cloud that follows some of them around. And Peter is continually predicting the end of the world. And, if you predict it long enough, eventually you'll be right.
That's exactly
even
right.
if it's after your death.
There you go.
So I have picked on him mercilessly in the past, and I ain't said anything bad about him in about 15 years. But we used to go at it pretty hard, but not directly. But he tweeted this today, and I find myself completely agreeing with him. How can anyone say this is not a financial crisis, especially when it's an even bigger financial crisis than the one we had in 2008? Here's where I agree with him. Which that's a little bit hyperbole right there, a little bit of drama, Peter, right? You're just trying to build it up again, okay? But here's where I agree with him. In an economy as highly leveraged as ours, every crisis becomes a financial crisis.
I love it.
Yeah. The leverage, the amount of debt in business, the amount of debt in personal lives magnifies the volatility. Any little wave becomes a tsunami.
That's exactly
in your personal life when you have debt. When you don't have debt and you have a pile of cash, a wave is just like, hey, that was fun.
Right? Or it's an inconvenience at worst.
Yeah, I just got wet. Look at that. My feet got wet. And it's a different thing but it rocks your freaking world. When you're leveraged. Leverage magnifies your stupidity.
There you go.
And it does in the nation, at the government level, it does in the personal level and in the business level. And to the extent you have cash and don't have debt, your life is stabilized. Now, Dave Ramsey doesn't understand you have to have debt. But all of a sudden, I even find myself aligned with Peter Schiff. So hats off to you, Peter. Nice tweet today. In an economy as highly leveraged as ours, every crisis becomes a financial crisis because people don't have 2 minutes of money set back.
That's right.
Given the amount of payments that they have, I can afford these payments means I'm always going to have my job, and means there's never going to be a ripple in the economy, means I'm never going to have any personal problems. Everything's going to go perfect in my life is what I can afford these payments mean, which is asinine.
The only thing you can guarantee is that you're going to have challenges, right?
Yeah, the only thing you can guarantee is you can't guarantee anything.
That's exactly right.